Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. It's Militia Man and Crew. We just like to say hello and see if you guys have a few moments to enjoy some conversation with today's going to be about a few things that I think are really pretty good. We have the Federation of the Chamber of Commerce talking, President of the Republic of Iraq is talking, the World Bank is talking with the Ministry of Finance, Parliamentary Health Finance did a suspension of the operational budget today, can't pay ambulances, that's in the news, and surprise at the end. Now it's got to do with JP Morgan. All right. Hey, listen, so bank stories. I know everybody thinks they're really cute, but you're going to find out that they're real and it's going to be for a good reason. So, Federation of Chamber of Commerce calls on the government to make way for the private sector. So, that's pretty heavy. It says at the Iraq National Trade Forum that Iraq's private sector is witnessing great growth and is capable of establishing large projects in various sectors, including building power plants, residential complexes, and others. They go on to say that the private sector needs a little bit of tweaking, legislation, if you will. We'll see how that turns out. I'm not so sure that they do, especially since the government stability will lead to liberalization of the private sector. They go on to say that 70% of the private sector companies access the dollar platform at the central bank on a daily basis. Well, here everybody says that they're doing that at 1310. That doesn't ring well with me. So come in and read the article in Patreon, and we can show you that they're not doing that. The budget just doesn't allow for it. The Federation of Chambers of Commerce calls on the government to make way for the private sector. So please enjoy. Come on in and check it out. The next one is the President of the Republic. Iraq has an opportunity to be one of the most advanced countries in the region. I would say that they are. They probably are gearing to be a very advanced society. They've been advanced before and they're going to do it again. The amount of trade that's going to happen in this country is going to be off the charts, and I don't think anybody in my lifetime, and I'm only, I'm still a youngster, so some people call me today, but it's probably not totally the truth. The President of the Republic, Jamal Rashid, he has confirmed Iraq is an opportunity to be one of the most advanced countries in the region. And they go on to say that the governor of Basra was received by him, and that what they're talking about is congratulations because the new governor has assumed his position once again and for his second term. And so why is that kind of important? Well, the guy's stable, he's been there, and what are we talking about? Iraq is becoming one of the most advanced countries in the region, and they're getting a jump start. So they're going to need good governors, they're going to need a lot of materials, and I'm pretty sure that if I have it right, that the port of Basra, port of Fao is in that region, and that's going to be a lot of money, a lot of trade, and that's going to be where the development road starts heading to the northwest. So we'll see. Enjoy that because I think it's pretty powerful. The Ministry of Finance told a delegation from the World Bank the government is determined to promote reforms through financial policies. So that was today. Ministry of Finance, Taif Sami. She was with Winston Cole, the director of the Financial Management Project at the World Bank, and the delegation all arrived safely, it sounds like. They didn't need an ambulance because, from what it sounds like, there aren't any running because the 2023 budget was suspended. They don't say that in this one, but we're going to get to it. The Ministry of Finance states today that in a meeting that especially in light of the existing cooperation program to complete the implementation of the economic reforms adopted by the Iraqi government. So the financial management project of the World Bank is, geared for what? Program to complete the implementation of the economic reforms of the Iraqi government. And for his part, Cole expressed that World Bank's aspiration to continue the distinguished cooperation relations with Iraq and its support for economic reforms, praising the performance of the Iraqi economy and the flexibility and resilience it has shown in the face of negative repercussions resulting from global economic fluctuations. I think we've probably heard some things about Iraq fixing some of these problems because of the nature of what they're getting ready to do. I'm pretty sure we had a little conversation about some of those things last night, which I'll just jump over and just happen to bring back up, that this quote from yesterday is completely 100% powerful. And if it's overlooked, I think you got to relook at it, because it says Saturday, the financial advisor to the Prime Minister, Mazhar Mohammad Shialdani, explained there were 6 principles launched by the Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani to maximize value chain and sustain the development momentum in the country, while stressing that Iraq is on the cusp of transitional stages in the development of promising economies globally. So they're in the cusp of traditional stage to develop other promising economies globally. How are you going to do that with an exchange rate of 13.10? They never did it before. You got to have an understanding. What are they talking about in this story? International studies estimate that the share of natural resources per kilometer relative to the area of our country is the highest in the world. I mean, this whole article right here, you guys, has got nothing but power. In all cases, the national private sector has priority to support and provide the necessary sovereign guarantees. All the private sector, they're not coming in if they don't have sovereign guarantees. They even have go on to say, we're keeping with the climate guarantees obtained by international investments. It says, pointing to a new development era for Iraq that leads to the diversification of sources of income through investment in diverse wealth, natural and human resources, launching the manufacturing industry, supporting agricultural efforts to maximize value chains with different technologies. Again, we went over this in my last video, so I would highly recommend that you go through that, or at least come into Patreon and our Discord forum, do some searching, you'll find that article. Powerful stuff. Ministry of Finance, they told the delegation from the World Bank they're determined to promote those reforms for those financial policies, right? So basically, Tafe family, Winston Cole, the director, they basically went through their meeting and were in light of their cooperation program to complete the implementation of these reforms in Iraq. They also say that the World Bank's aspiration to continue the distinguished cooperation relations with Iraq in support for economic reforms, raising the performance of Iraqi economy, the flexibility and the resilience that's shown in the face of negative repercussions resulting from the global economic fluctuations. So we went over that. But once again, if you let it bat home, they are in the mode, and why today? They are telling everybody that they've done it. They're getting ready to take it to another level. It says here now, the Parliamentary Health Finance, and this is where it comes kind of interesting, is that the finance has suspended operational budgets and ambulances because they cannot buy fuel. Well, a country that's doing all these things, the World Bank's there, you got all these other entities around the world, all these countries coming into play. You have the UN Assembly, you have the Davos meeting, you have the Munich meetings, and you have all these different folks showing up, doing all the deals that they've been doing, and yet you can't pay for ambulances, and they suspend the 23, 24, 25 budget, tripartite budget, for what? How long can a country run on no money? Something's up. what's the reasoning? I'm going to get into it. The suspension of the operational budgets by the Ministry of Finance for the Ministry of Health and the rest of the institutions, and the disbursement of employee salaries. So they're not only invoking the institutions, they're talking about salaries. And we're going to find out that they're not alone when it comes to this. But interestingly enough, we go to the point that the Ministry of Finance only pays employees' salaries and stop the operating budget without knowing the reasons. So they invoke both. The translations are always confusing. That's why we kind of lean on a couple of people in our Patreon room because they have the ability to speak it. But here we go. The tripart budget law is effectively for 3 years. We all know that. The Ministry of Finance is arguing that the new tables have not been approved. So the new tables, new above and beyond, going to 2024, have not been approved. And these tables are mentioned in the budget law when there is a need. And so obviously there's a need. So we're going to see what's holding it up. So today, the Ministry of Health and its institutions cannot purchase a single liter of gasoline for ambulances. So that sounds like a health and safety issue. I'm not sure what institutions people are familiar with, but I know that health and safety are a very key component to livelihoods of the citizens. Interestingly enough, we saw some really nice political, consolatory information from al-Sudani to Muqtada al-Sadr for his, loss in his family. So that was a political move, I think, today, above and beyond being kind. I think it's both. So anyway, there's obviously a reason for the stopping of the operational budget at this juncture in time. The law was put in place to be effective for 3 years running. We all know that. The suspension comes as a surprise to most people because why would they do that at this stage of the game? There's got to be a reason. It says countries cannot run long without a budget. So something is going to come from this. And one thing that comes to mind is a rate change. Well, what else could there be? Why would you just stop a budget? All that, if there was any money left over with the 1310, it would just be a vacuum. It'd be gone. All right, so anyway, the option is not out of the question. The expectation is that it's been high with respect to major announcements to come. We think that that's probably the case because why? There was a major announcement. Saleh talked about it. He's the advisor. What is it, the 26th? Yeah, 1226. It says Mazar Mohammed Saleh, financial advisor to the Prime Minister. He says that the Iraq's dinar exchange rate follows a system of a fixed exchange rate, and that the process of approving the exchange rate is one of the monetary policy tasks of the Central Bank of Iraq. It's the independent body, especially since Iraq depends primarily on oil sources that provide foreign currency, and therefore oil revenues are transferred to the Central Bank of Iraq, and reserves follow the exchange mechanism between the dinar and the dollar, given that the central bank is the source of exchange between them. So again, the translations are always fun. But at this part here, it says, thus, at the beginning of the year in 2024, Iraq will have entered the rapidly advanced digital era, and there will be a major official announcement in this regard. And that was Saleh on the December 26, 2023. And move forward to a couple days ago, it says today, Saturday, the other day, the advisor to the Prime Minister, Saleh, explains that there's 6 principles launched by the Private Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani to do what? Back to it again. To maximize value chains and sustain the development of the momentum in the country, and while stressing that Iraq is on the cusp of a transitional stage in the development of promising economies globally. Break it down. Iraq's on the cusp of a transitional stage. If you can't pay for ambulances, how are you on a transitional stage to development of promising economies? So you're going to help other countries develop their economies based off what you're going to do. It doesn't make any sense. So obviously something's up, because we can see all these things from this whole year of al-Sudani, a year of achievements. He didn't achieve failure. He's not doing that. Iraq, with its large natural resources, is ranked 9th in the world after countries such as Russia, the United States of America, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and today it's on the cusp of transitional stage in the development of promising economies for development at the global level. That is massive. Indeed, international studies estimate that the share of natural resources per square kilometer relative to the area of our country is the highest in the world. So they're giving you explanation that they have the ability to be able to pull this off. That's why it's kind of odd that they throw out this thing where they can't afford anything. The health ministry comes out and says they don't have any money for gas. You go, what? With all this other information? Okay. Here it says the employee is the first to be effective. Parliamentary Finance warns of the delay in releasing the 2024 budget. It says that the delay in the financial release is achieved from the Iraqi oil experts. There is a real problem with the financial releases made from oil imports that are frozen abroad, so they're putting it on us here in the United States, and nothing of them has been sent to the country, and this is where we are facing a disaster. So this person, I believe, has to deal with the coordination framework, and he's just out there being blusterous to the effect that pointing the fingers at us. I put that in there because yes, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a negative, but is it relevant? I think it's not, but it's powerful to at least acknowledge that there's two sides to the story. And here we go. So we talked about specific things. If you guys remember back a while ago, I'm not sure I can have it if it's in my view, but we have things that are up on the screen, and I have, I think, 12 to 15 articles that specifically show in Iraq and in Iraq's news that JP Morgan has been involved with Iraq since, in many cases, since 2021. I believe that the AMF, which Iraq is a part of and which was a founding father of, or part of that founding foundation, is, as of January, 3 years ago, going to clear the United States dollar on the Buna platform. JP Morgan Chase. So then later on, years later, we have the vice president of Iraq involved, not the vice president of Iraq, vice president of JP Morgan involved, having meetings. But interestingly enough, we find that JP Morgan has a hand in this, in my opinion. So on Thursday, June 2023, it says the Prime Minister referred to the role of JP Morgan Bank in establishing the Trade Bank of Iraq, the TBI, which is today the commercial banking window of Iraq to the world, stressing that Iraq is on the verge of a large reconstruction movement in all sectors. That is where it says it, right? We have that in our room. That's where I just printed it. And here today, aside from all those cute little stories that everybody's been hearing and complaining about, the expectation for those stories is the story. It's because the bank's talking about this stuff. I'm not sure why some people just don't see it that way, but I'm hoping to educate people to suggest that here it says Nineveh, okay, opens a branch of Iraqi trade bank in the city of Mosul. Well, who's involved with that? JP Morgan in establishing the Trade Bank of Iraq. Oh, so in other words, by proxy, is it not that the Nineveh opens a branch of Iraqi trade bank in the city of Mosul? Would not JP Morgan Chase Bank know about that? I'm pretty sure they do. Okay, so it says the local government in Nineveh opened a branch of the Iraqi trade bank in the city of Mosul. And they go on to talk about the local government opened the Iraqi Trade Bank in order to provide the necessary support to Iraqi banks, which are moving at a steady and parallel pace with the Prime Minister's program, which is what? To go to an international market, which aims to transform transactions from a paper to electronic. And what does that mean? Digital era, right? Isn't that what they were saying? Digital era? Yes, absolutely. Especially in ATMs. automated and dealing via electronic cards instead of manual with regard to financial transactions in Iraq. So there you have it, my friends. In a brief synopsis, I might even do a whole little piece on the fact of just how tight JP Morgan is involved in this and why they would be changing to a wealth management circumstance. Well, I'm not so sure I could get into the why about that because they're pretty big and I'm just a little small fry. But if you guys have been watching the news, you're watching these little new places being built, you're seeing even pictures on the internet of how nice they are. Well, Mosul having the Iraqi Trade Bank to do this new digital era that they talk about, Al-Sudani talks about specifically, then you can see that what we're saying is we're not just making it up. So enjoy your night. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe, and if you'd like to keep the content going, you know the routine. We have the Zelle, the PayPal, and Venmo. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.